Zhuo, a mature software engineer, led a peaceful life in his metropolitan apartment, accompanied only by his ebony feline, Nero. Lately, his nocturnal hours had been distressing. He often woke up panting, feeling a weight pressing on his chest. Zhuo suspected it wasn't merely stress, as he mused over a cup of coffee at 6:30 a.m. after yet another restless night. Nero, indifferent to Zhuo's concerns, purred softly at his feet. Soft rays of twilight seeped through the blinds, casting quivering shadows on the kitchen walls. Determined to find an explanation, Zhuo turned to the internet. In virtual discussions, he stumbled upon accounts of others who shared similar experiences, mentioning spectral presences and evil spirits attempting to asphyxiate them in their sleep. This only amplified his apprehension. What if these were real? What if an unseen force was pursuing him? His gaze remained fixed on the luminous computer screen. Before we continue, feel free to support us by hitting the like button, subscribing, and turning on the notification bell to never miss our stories. Then inspiration struck. Zhuo decided to document his sleep with a recording device placed next to his bed, resolving to demystify the conundrum by morning. That night, despite the looming dread, he managed to fall asleep. The camcorder captured every detail in the silent night, its red LED pulsating in the dark. After several hours, Zhuo awoke abruptly, his heart pounding with the familiar pressure on his chest. He illuminated the room, but nothing seemed amiss. Nero lay at the end of the bed, seemingly in deep slumber. The next morning, Zhuo sat on the couch and connected the camcorder to his computer. "Let's find out what we have in store," he muttered, hitting the play button on the footage. The video began with Zhuo sleeping peacefully. Around 3:01 a.m., Nero entered the frame, climbed onto the bed, and, to Zhuo's shock, positioned himself on Zhuo's face. "Could it be?" he voiced, almost in denial. He replayed the video, confirming that it was indeed Nero settling on his face. Zhuo chuckled nervously. "So it's you, you little scoundrel. You've been stifling me?" He continued watching, though hesitant to embrace this potential solution. On the monitor, Nero shifted his stance, staring intently at the camera, his eyes glowing. An uncomfortable chill ran down Zhuo's spine. "Why are you giving me that look, Nero?" he asked, not expecting a reply. Something about that glowing stare unnerved him. He decided to observe Nero's behavior for a few more nights. Though he switched off the camera, an unease lingered. It seemed more complicated than it appeared, Zhuo speculated, watching Nero sleep on the couch. Realizing the need for a deeper investigation, he set out to study Nero's nocturnal activities closely. After their evening meal, he stroked the cat, comforted by its rhythmic purring. "I will unravel your peculiar tendency tonight," he whispered, repositioning the recording device near his bed. Trying to calm his worries, Zhuo lay down, eventually surrendering to a deep, peaceful sleep. The recording device, with its glowing red light, dutifully documented the quiet room. The next morning, Zhuo awoke again to the familiar sensation of pressure against his chest. Rising slowly, he made an effort to dismiss the discomfort and restlessness that pervaded him. "Let's assess today's findings," he asserted internally, reaching for the recording device and heading to the couch. As he connected the device to his laptop and pressed play, the familiar scene unfolded: the quiet room, himself asleep, and then Nero making a deliberate entry onto the bed. This time, Zhuo noticed something peculiar. Before settling on his face, Nero appeared to analyze the precise spot to claim. He seemed calculated and analytical. Every action of Nero appeared deliberate, right down to the gaze he fixed on the camera, suggesting awareness of the device's purpose. "This is all in my head," Zhuo thought, replaying the recording for more insight. Observing the footage in slow motion, he noticed Nero staring into the camera, his eyes glistening with an almost sentient challenge. As if attempting to relay a covert message, Zhuo pondered, unable to comprehend its meaning. Despite his best efforts, the peculiar sight haunted him throughout the day, interrupting his work. Each time Nero stared at him, Zhuo felt a shiver run down his spine. The cat seemed to keep a vigil on him, its posture sure, and its gaze more intrusive than a cat's usual curiosity. "Perhaps it's just my imagination at work," he tried to convince himself, At the end of the day, it's just a cat. Yet he couldn't shake the niggling doubts and knew he needed more answers. That night, Zhuo adjusted the camera for a broader view of the room, including the doorway and a section of the hallway. Should Nero act peculiarly, it's crucial to witness every detail, he contemplated. As before, his slumber was hindered, frequently interrupted by growing unease. Upon dawn, he was ready to inspect the footage. Connecting the camera to the laptop, he hit play. The recording depicted the same initial sequence with Zhuo asleep, Nero entering, and then climbing onto the bed. However, an unexpected moment occurred. Before laying on Zhuo's face, Nero paused at the exit, his gaze fixed on something in the corridor. The cat's fur stood on edge as he issued a faint but menacing hiss, seemingly responding to an unseen entity. Zhuo's heart raced. What could be drawing Nero's attention, he wondered, addressing the screen. For several minutes, Nero held his pose before finally giving his attention to Zhuo again and resting on his face, mirroring the earlier incidents. This deliberate act felt even more chilling than before. After witnessing the recording, Zhuo was torn between logical reasoning and dread. Could I be dealing with an unseen force, he contemplated? What had once been perceived as mere cat antics now seemed more sinister and calculated. Pushed to uncover the underlying reality, Zhuo realized he had to dig deeper into the situation. Unraveling the mystery behind Nero's actions became a necessity, each passing night bringing new and disconcerting revelations. Determined, he prepared for another night with the camera set, his heart burdened with apprehension. The subsequent nights echoed eerily with the past. Each time Zhuo examined the footage, Nero sprawled across his face, the glow in the cat's eyes amplified in the dark, maintaining eye contact with the camera before settling down. The sensation of breathlessness grew nearly insufferable for Zhuo as he felt an increasing heaviness on his chest, a worry that engulfed his daytime as well. Determined to comprehend the occurrences, Zhuo started to keep a closer watch on Nero throughout the day. He noticed the cat seemed to shadow him around the house, his gaze monitoring Zhuo's actions. If Zhuo switched rooms, Nero quietly trailed behind, pausing at the doorway to observe him with an intensity that felt almost human. One day, engrossed in work on his laptop, a sudden jolt crept over Zhuo. Looking up, he found Nero at the doorway, eyes pinned on him. "What are you trying to convey, Nero?" Zhuo inquired, attempting to dismiss the unsettling sensation. Unflinching, the cat remained stationary, as if trying to pass along a silent message. It was time for Zhuo to seek external advice. He invited his friend Ricardo, a veterinarian and feline enthusiast, to drop by. With a positive and inquisitive attitude, Ricardo arrived during the day. "What seems to be the issue with Nero?" he asked while caressing the feline. Zhuo relayed the full scenario, from the breathing difficulties to Nero's peculiar conduct on tape. Listening intently, Ricardo occasionally glanced at the cat, who was curled up on the couch watching them. Ricardo suggested it could be a matter of territorial behavior or inherent eccentricities. "Felines can become oddly quirky, especially at night," he explained. "But what about his eye mannerisms and his tendency to keep everything I do under surveillance?" Zhuo pressed, his tone laced with worry. Offering a shrug, Ricardo replied, "Difficult to determine. Felines are intrinsically enigmatic. However, I'll spend some time observing him. Perhaps I'll discern something you may have overlooked." For the remainder of the day, Ricardo shadowed Nero, making specific notes on his demeanor. The cat acted as expected, engaging with toys and resting in habitual spots. However, as darkness enveloped the residence, Nero began to exhibit strange behavior. Ricardo stayed late, discussing various possibilities and hypotheses with Zhuo. "It might be possible he's trying to communicate something," Ricardo proposed, "but it could also just be typical feline behavior, appearing unusual because you're scrutinizing him so closely." Although Zhuo nodded, he couldn't shake the uncomfortable feeling. Once Ricardo left, Zhuo prepared the recording device again. "Let's observe the proceedings tonight," he murmured. The following dawn, adrenaline coursing through his veins, Zhuo examined the recorded footage. Nero showcased his usual demeanor, but this time, before leaping onto the bed, the feline halted in the corridor, glaring at something Zhuo couldn't see. The deep, intimidating purr reverberated down the hallway, sending shivers down Zhuo's spine. After a short duration, Nero retreated to the room and nestled on Zhuo's face, but with more intense eyes in the darkness. Zhuo paused the playback, leaning closer to the monitor to decipher some hint in Nero's actions. The only detail he could deduce was the cat's set and piercing gaze. Refusing to let this apprehension take control, Zhuo resolved to delve deeper into Nero's background. He remembered adopting the cat from a rescue facility years ago, but lacked information about his past. Initiating an internet search, he scoured the web for any mention of the rescue organization and Nero's previous owners. After hours of research, Zhuo stumbled upon an old news article about a renowned hypnotist who had vanished without a trace. The report mentioned that the hypnotist had an ebony-hued feline, a steadfast companion in various performances. The cat's name was Nero. An icy shiver ran down Zhuo's spine. This can't just be a random correlation, he muttered, engrossed in the article. Zhuo learned that the hypnotist was known for his mental manipulation skills, and that many believed he could channel his essence into living creatures. His mind teeming with inquiries and theories, Zhuo felt he was inching closer to an unsettling revelation. Each detail reinforced the idea that a darker scenario was at play. Nero's odd behavior, once regarded as mere quirks, now seemed to hold a menacing objective. Driven to expose the truth, Zhuo realized his quest had to continue. Nero was more than just a cat, and the answer to his nightly woes lay in the enigmatic history of the missing hypnotist. Bracing himself emotionally and intellectually, Zhuo steeled himself to confront the truth, no matter how terrifying. In the days that followed, he plunged into tireless research. Zhuo dissected the hypnotist's backstory, combing through old reports, online threads, and anecdotal accounts claiming to have witnessed the man in Nero's performances. Each discovery fits into an increasingly ominous narrative. During a late-night analysis of his findings, Zhuo found a digital journal of a reporter who had investigated the hypnotist's disappearance. The reporter described the hypnotist's power to channel his spirit into other entities and how Nero was integral to his hypnosis acts. Could the hypnotist's soul be residing within Nero? Zhuo questioned, wrestling with the plausibility of the idea. Determined to solve the mystery, he tracked down the reporter's address, hoping to unearth more clues. The following morning, Zhuo set off for the reporter's residence, home to an elderly man named Eduardo. Upon arrival, he was met with wariness. "Mr. Eduardo, I'm Zhuo. I have some questions about the vanished hypnotist and his cat," he clarified, flashing his business card to enhance his credibility. Eduardo looked skeptical but ushered Zhuo inside. Seated in a cluttered room, the reporter listened intently as Zhuo unfolded the peculiar saga involving Nero. "Do you believe your feline possesses the essence of a hypnotist?" Eduardo inquired, skepticism mingling with intrigue. Zhuo replied, "What's clear has become blurry. Nero's actions are bizarre, and the signs seem to affirm that theory." Eduardo huffed, rising to retrieve an old diary from a dust-laden shelf. "This is the memoir of the hypnotist," he informed Zhuo, handing it over. "It contains many undisclosed tricks and methods. Perhaps this will shed light on the puzzle." Zhuo expressed his gratitude and left, now more resolved to crack the enigma. The night was devoted to paging through the hypnotist's life, revealing terrifying insights into hypnosis, mind manipulation, and most chillingly, soul transfers. The trance master theorized about attaining immortality through other organisms, with Nero as his instrument. As he pieced together the threads, Zhuo began to understand that if Nero housed the hypnotist's soul, it explained the cat's strange conduct and surprising acumen. But the burning question remained: what did Nero intend? Why was he attempting to harm Zhuo? On that fateful night, Zhuo decided to confront Nero directly. Camera in hand, he positioned himself on the bed, intensely peering at the feline. "If you're indeed the vessel of the hypnotist's spirit, give me some indication," Zhuo pleaded aloud, feeling foolish yet desperate for the truth. Unexpectedly, Nero slowly rose and approached Zhuo, stopping just a breath away from his face. The feline bored deep into Zhuo's eyes, and for an instant, comprehension seemed to pass between them. "What are you seeking from me?" Zhuo demanded nervously. Nero didn't communicate, of course. But something about his stare felt different. The cat trotted away to another room, leaving Zhuo bewildered. Determined not to backtrack, Zhuo decided to follow him. Nero guided him to an ancient standing closet in the hallway, where he began scratching at the wood. What's inside? Zhuo wondered, curiosity piqued. He opened the cabinet to discover an old wooden trunk. Inside, he found a discolored parchment and some time-worn effects. The letter was penned by the hypnotist, intended for the one who discovers the trunk. If you're reading this, it suggests my spirit now resides in Nero. This cat represents my key to eternal life, but also my burden to bear. He requires a custodian who understands the duty of nurturing a creature that carries the soul of a man. Rephrasing this tale was no small feat, but Zhuo felt he could handle it. So it is real, he whispered, shutting his eyes briefly to internalize the gravity of the situation. Next to him, Nero sat, studying him with those keen, bright eyes. Back in the cozy confines of his living room, Zhuo cribbed Nero. I'm trying to comprehend your needs and how I can satisfy them, he expressed, gently caressing the feline. In response, Nero purred softly, as though grasping Zhuo's every word. In the subsequent days, Zhuo endeavored to establish better communication with Nero, implementing tactics gleaned from the hypnotist's records. He discovered that Nero showed varying responses to individual instructions and triggers, reinforcing his theory of human cognition hidden behind those feline eyes. One notably stressful night, Zhuo jolted awake. He recognized the familiar pressure on his chest and opened his eyes to see Nero peering at him, closer than ever before. The feline was right in his face, the radiance in his eyes a terrifying spectacle. Zhuo struggled to move, but his body didn't comply. He felt immobilized, unable to turn his gaze from Nero. What are you attempting to show me? His thoughts tumbled between fear and intrigue. Abruptly, a vivid image manifested in his mind. It was the hypnotist, standing on a platform with Nero beside him. The vision was so crisp and accurate that it felt like Zhuo was witnessing the performance. A profound link formed between them as if their consciousnesses intertwined one last time. Then the vision faded, and Zhuo was back in reality. Nero remained, but the heaviness on Zhuo's chest had vanished. A wave of understanding washed over him, as though he had finally deciphered the message. The hypnotist wanted Zhuo to carry forward his life's work, but in a manner that caused no harm. With his pulse still racing, Zhuo stroked Nero tenderly. Now I understand, he confessed quietly. I'll support you, but this needs to be a team effort. The enigma was far from resolved, but Zhuo felt confident that he was headed in the right direction. Nero was not merely a pet, and the truth about his lineage was more intricate than Zhuo had initially perceived. Now resolute, Zhuo understood he had to dive deeper into the investigation for the sake of understanding Nero better and protecting himself against any unforeseen dangers. Equipped with a new perception and underlying objective, Zhuo prepared for the next leg of his odyssey, confident that the truth was accessible but would demand grit and steadfastness to uncover. That night, as Nero slept soundly by his side, Zhuo felt empowered to unveil the absolute truth. The hypnotist's message, Nero's peculiar habits, and Zhuo's strange connection with the cat led him to believe there were more secrets yet uncovered. However, the biggest question that troubled him was why Nero was trying to smother him in his sleep. Determined to uncover the truth, Zhuo began to comb through the contents of the old box more meticulously. Amidst the antiquities, he found a gold pendant with an elaborate eye design and a petite journal, which appeared to serve as an additional note to the records of the hypnotist. Zhuo carefully opened the little book and began his reading journey. In the preliminary pages, there were detailed accounts of the hypnotist's experiences with Nero and how he managed to impart a segment of his essence to the feline. As Zhuo delved deeper, he came across a passage that made him freeze. For stability in the fusion of our essences, a regular sacrifice is essential. The cat must rest on the caretaker's face during slumber to draw the necessary life force that sustains my existence, the absence of which would lead to dire repercussions for both the cat and its keeper. A cold shiver ran down Zhuo's spine. So that's it, he muttered, finally grasping the reason behind his breathing issues. Nero, by resting on his face, was compelled to do so, out of a mutual need for survival, not intending to smother him. Feeling slightly relieved yet resolute to demystify the puzzling situation further, Zhuo continued reading. The subsequent pages outlined a final transfer ritual, a practice that could liberate the hypnotist's essence from Nero and grant him eternal rest. The essence needs to be channeled into an object inherently sentimental to the hypnotist, he read. The gold pendant is the key. Filled with a sense of hope, Zhuo fondly held the golden pendant. If he successfully performed the ritual, he and Nero could ultimately find tranquility. However, the ritual needed to be performed at midnight, at a location of deep emotional significance to the hypnotist. Undeterred by the specifications, Zhuo began gathering the necessary items. He packed the pendant and the journal and arranged everything in a bag. Further exploration of the journal revealed that the most emotionally significant place for the hypnotist was an old theater where he used to showcase his talent. As dusk cloaked the day in darkness, Zhuo, accompanied by Nero, drove to the ancient, abandoned theater. The place was somber and desolate, with an inexplicably intense presence in the air. Zhuo found the main stage just as described in the journal. Positioning the pendant at the heart of the stage, he began chanting the ceremonial phrases, with Nero at his side. The atmosphere pulsed around him as he recited the incantations. A gentle radiance emerged from the pendant, bathing both Zhuo and Nero in light. The feline cast its gaze on Zhuo, its pupils flaring with profound brilliance. Zhuo felt a deep, powerful bond with Nero, as if their spirits were locking together for a final time. Suddenly, the light surged, propelling the pendant skyward. Zhuo continued chanting, his tone steady and resolute. Nero edged closer to the pendant, and in a moment of sheer force was enveloped in light, with the pendant merging into an engulfing radiance. When the glow receded, the pendant delicately descended to the ground, and Nero retreated, its eyes regaining their natural color. The ritual was complete. Zhuo picked up the pendant, washed over by a sense of calm. He observed Nero, now appearing like an ordinary feline, devoid of the previous otherworldly vibrancy in its eyes. "Victory is ours, partner," he declared, stroking the cat. "You're liberated now." Upon returning home, Zhuo displayed the pendant prominently as a reminder of the incredible journey he had undergone. Nero returned to typical feline behavior, no longer attempting to sprawl on Zhuo's face. As the days rolled by, tranquility seeped back into Zhuo's life. The suffocating, anxiety-ridden nights were gone, allowing him to finally rest peacefully. Nero remained a steadfast companion, stripped of the enigmas that once surrounded him. Zhuo's life had taken a pivotal turn, but he knew all was as it should be. Liberating the mesmerist spirit had brought peace to both him and Nero. And so, with fulfillment and tranquility adorning their lives, Zhuo and Nero continued their shared journey, now as a simple human and his feline, entirely free of the specters from the past. Don't miss out on the previous video. Click now on the banner to the right. See you next time.